this morning you're going to hear from the Glen Ellyn School District, for the School District Board from District 87. There are 4 candidates running for 3 4-year terms.
I have 2 places on the ballot.
No, I am given to understand that Martha Miller is running, but she's not present today because she regretfully cannot attend as she's being deployed to Georgia for additional TSA officer training. So we'll wish her good luck with that. Candidates agreed to the basic rules outlined by the League of Women Voters prior to this event today. Candidates who are seated by lots drawn right before the forum. The candidate who makes the first opening statement will move to the end of the line for the next question. The rotation will continue through questioning and closed statements, and that will start with Ms. DeLaRosa. If I call you out of order, just stop me and I'll start over. Candidates are allowed 2 minutes to give an opening statement, 1 minute to respond to question, and 1 minute closing statements. Statements and responses will be timed by members of the League of Women Voters using countdown panels visible to the candidates. I will enforce the limits and will ask you to try and use all your allocated time, but don't go over. I will stop you. If you were here earlier, you know I'm not lying. There are rules for the audience. Questions will come from the audience. Only written questions will be used. Volunteers have index cards, and we would like some more questions if you'd like to ask them. The questions must be addressed to all candidates. Questions posed to specific candidates will not be used. The League of Women Voter members will review questions for appropriateness and to avoid duplication, and they're over here. Out of courtesy to the candidates and other audience members, please turn off all electronic devices. And I'm going to add this, no filming or audio taping. We did have that in the first event. We did ask those people to stop. This is being videoed by the League, and we will have it posted to the League website later. Finally, please refrain from applauding or demonstrating in other ways in support or non-support of a candidate. Again, no voice, image, or other duplication of the form may be used by a candidate's representative or campaign in any campaign advertising. A table outside this room has been provided for campaign literature. So, I think we're ready. Let's begin with opening statements. Ms. DeLaRosa.
Good morning. Thank you all for attending, and thank you for the League. Oh, sorry. Am I loud enough? Hopefully. Well,
Good morning.
there you go. Thank you to the League for hosting this event, and I have to disclose that I'm a lifelong League member, just so you know.
No demonstration, please.
I am currently on the District 87 board and chair of the Finance Committee for the last 2 years, as well as on the Student Achievement and Progress Committee. So, or Student Achievement and I don't know what it's called. We call it the SPA committee. And we always have to always say that this is not really SPA as you know it, but anyway, we deal with testing and curriculum and textbooks, that type of thing. So I have a good balance of both the money and the program from my experience on the board. I came to the board as I was reached out to. I was a community member on finance. And I was reached out by administration and teachers to run for the board the first time. I was actually not going to rerun, and then I was asked by teachers as well to come forward again for another term. I think that's a vote of confidence. I don't think that means I side with teachers in the situation, but I think it's a vote of confidence in my fairness and my attention to students as well as administration. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kenwood.
Good morning. Thanks to those of you that decided to stay for round 2. Appreciate that. John Kenwood, been in Illinois for 29 years, so obviously I moved here when I was 2 years old. Lived in the District 87 boundaries for the past 23 years. Married to 3 kids that have all gone through District 87. Graduated from the University of Texas in Austin. And got my graduate work done at the University of Illinois, MBA in finance, so I'm all orange, as I like to say. I currently am a vice president at Capgemini. I run our retail practice for North America. I have 14 years of board experience, both in a feeder district to District 87 and village. So I've had a lot of experience. I've been a president and vice president of the Board of Education. I served as the board liaison for our district vision. I served as the board representative for the finance committee. I've served on the finance committee. I've served as a representative of the curriculum committee. I've served on the curriculum committee. I have 1 minute. I've served as a liaison for the boundaries committee. I've helped negotiate 2 teacher contracts, including an ASME contract. I have volunteered, while not on the board, on the facilities task force. I have helped recruit and hire a superintendent. I've been part of the team that developed the facilities plan, and I understand the tax and levy process. As a member of the village trustee, I've had the opportunity to work with the police, public works, park district, school district, so I feel I bring a lot of experience to the board and another point of view. As I've told my colleagues here, I think you have a great choice. I don't feel that these are my opponents. I think as a community, we're blessed to have 87, and we certainly have good choices up here. I hope to bring a new voice to the board, as most of the board has served 2 or 3 terms, and I think having a different perspective that I can bring and problem solving would be good for the board.
Thank you. Ms. Vera.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for staying around. My name is Mireya Vera. I'm a resident of Lombard. I've been a resident of Lombard for the last 21 years. My children have gone to school here, and I'm very proud of that because it's a darn good school district, starting with Forest Glen across the street, so it was great. I'm actually an alumni as well of the University of Illinois in bilingual education, secondary ed. I was a history teacher and something I'm very passionate about. And I even did some folkloric dancing with my students back then, so that was a wonderful experience in Chicago Public Schools. Shortly thereafter, moved to Mexico and then came back 7 years later, so I've been in Lombard since then. The nice thing is that I've been very actively involved for more than 10 years here in the school district, starting as a parent and then later as a volunteer in a variety of capacities. I work closely with parent programs, with teachers, with students, and with district administrators. I've been on the Student Performance Achievement Committee, SPA, for the last 3 terms, and I've really enjoyed the work there. So I was thrilled and felt blessed when I was asked to take a seat on the board recently. So I've been recently appointed to the school board, District 87, since December, and I've really been enjoying my work there. I love the work of the school district. I really believe in what the school district is doing. They have a good representation in the state of Illinois as a school district. We look like a best practice school. Are there issues? There are always issues, but I think we've got a good heads at the table, and I would like to continue to be part of that. I think through teamwork and collaboration, we can accomplish a lot more, and it is all about the students. So
Thank you. So we'll start by taking questions that were already submitted by the audience. We'll start with question number 1, and that will be with Mr. Kenwood. Why are you running for the school board? What unique qualifications could you bring to the board?
Great question. I was, I'm a trustee now and did not run for re-election. I have always felt that schools are a very important part of the community. I think that's why people choose to come to a community. I think good schools means a lot for our community. So I got my initial start with District 41 and being involved in the school community. And I was approached by some folks at District 87 to consider running. I'm blessed with what my kids experienced at District 87. I'm blessed for where they've been in their development, and wanted nothing more than just continue to contribute to this great institution and to make sure that we continue to do the job that they're doing, which is why I decided to run for the board.
Thank you. Ms. Vera.
I'm sorry, the question again?
Why are you running for the school board? What unique qualifications could you bring to the board?
Well, since the very beginning that I became involved with the school board, it really was about student needs and what we needed to do to bring up the students to the same level. I saw some achievement gaps that needed to be worked on. I was happy to see that the school district was already taking some efforts into that. I saw parents that weren't getting involved, not because they didn't want to be, but because they weren't familiar with the suburban school culture. And so it was about giving them the tools that they needed to get involved. And I just think inclusion is a big piece of what the school district needs to continue on. And I think I bring that perspective and a good voice to the table for that, so I look forward to it.
Thank you. Ms. DeLaRosa.
So the reason I'm running, obviously, is because I think I said it before, that the teachers urged me to rerun, so that's one of the reasons. But I started, when I first started on the board, I really wanted to, I was on the finance committee, and I wanted to see the implementation of our master facility plan, which I had worked on in finance and spent several Saturdays at the district. And as you can tell, for those of you who live in Glen Ellyn, the addition onto Glenbard West was part of that master facility plan. I actually had brought it to our booster organization one night to share with them where we were and to think forward about a referendum. Anyway, so it's really, my kids all went through Glenbard West, and my family in and itself is a longitudinal study. I have a 02 graduate, a 12 graduate, and a 17 graduate. And so I have a long-term perspective of the district, and I'd like to see us continue to grow.
Thank you very much. Well, this question is very near and dear to my heart. The League of Women Voters sponsors mock elections in area high schools to educate high school students in the use of actual current ballots and in mechanics of voting with electronic vote counting machines. Would you advocate for mock elections to be held in all district high schools? Yes.
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the greatest experience that I've heard my sons talk about is that mock experience of voting, because it gets them to start asking the right questions, to start thinking about what does this mean for themselves, for their future, what the decision, the value that it has to put a vote behind an individual, and not to come out thinking, well, it's only one vote, it's not going to make a difference. Yes, you are going to make a difference, in the fact that we can get them early on thinking about that difference they could make, I think is an invaluable experience. So yes, I would support that.
Great, thank you. Ms. Dollar.
Yeah, I would agree. I think this generation, like every generation before it, gets involved sooner and sooner. I got a Snapchat from my niece, who's 14 years old, yesterday at a climate protest in Minnesota. So these kids are involved, they care, they have their issues, they have a voice, and any experience like that is terrific. I even responded to her, and then she responded back with something that was very witty and clever, which made me really feel that she understands what's going on and why she's there, and I think it's important to do that. So, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I think I said to you before I was a lifelong League of Women voter, so yeah, elections are important to me. I like the really nerdy stuff, okay? So I've been on the ground, knocking on doors and talking to voters, just having casual conversations. So yeah, I'm very passionate. We're not just building these things that go to college. Sometimes it seems that way in our overemphasis on AP sometimes by our administration. But we're building citizens, we're building people, we're building human beings. And we always have to keep that in mind. And voting is part of bringing the best people to lead our various levels of government.
Thank you, and I'll add this. I coordinate the mock elections for DuPage County and the League of Women Voters for the League, and have for the last probably 10 years. On an average year when we do this, 20,000 students throughout DuPage County get to participate in mock elections using real voting equipment. And we're really proud that we are able to do that with the county, and hope that we'll be able to do that going forward with the change of the election commission moving into the county clerk's office. So we'd be happy for you to continue to support all that. Okay, question number 3, and we'll start with Ms. DeLaRosa. What are the 3 most pressing issues facing District 87, and how would you address them?
Okay, so as a board, our number one job, our only job, is to hire the superintendent. And I'm not making any announcements here, but we always have to kind of keep that in mind, because with the superintendent becomes the administrative staff. We have several key positions that are in the retirement lane, and so we have to be, I think succession planning for our district is really important. We also still have some work to do on some of our goals. We are actually going to spend this summer, if I'm re-elected to the board, working on our vision. Again, that's important in setting the table on and where we're wanting to go next.
All right, thank you. Mr. Kenwood?
Similarly, obviously, 87 is a high-achieving district. It prepares students for college. That's a very important element of what the district's doing. It's financially strong. So I don't really see significant issues, but what I would like to see is three areas. One is, a lot of the baby boomers are retiring. There's a lot of really good upper middle class type jobs out there that I don't feel we're preparing our kids for those kids that want to pursue that path. So I do think that the road to work for a technical career path is something that we should expand. There's also a growing special education population, and they deserve careers as well. And they should think about going to college, and we should have a goal for them to go to college. We also need to make sure they're prepared for life so that they can have a career. And then something I'm realizing as I'm exploring more about the district itself, there are some key folks that are retiring. I've learned this from these guys here, even though they're not guys. We really do need to think through our succession planning.
Thank you. Ms. Vera?
I think this is a high-performing district. Still, we have some work to do in terms of achievement gaps. We've done better, and we are on the road to improving that. I'd like to see it continue to improve. I think that career readiness as well as higher education is very important. A few years ago, I saw in the DuPage area, we had some significant work to do there. So I'd like to make sure that our school district does that. It's also important that we continue to work with students as well as with the community. So thank you.
Thank you. The next question, we'll start with Mr. Kenwood. With the number of women entering science and technology fields after college being disproportionately low, how can District 87 help encourage young women to be interested in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math?
Boy, I need more than a minute on that one. That is a very important issue. So I'm involved in technology. I sponsor a Women to Watch in Technology. I also sponsor a Women in Digital in Technology. It's part of what I do as my role. I have two daughters. One is going to Cornell for engineering. So keep your applause going. So very, very proud of how my daughters have grown up and what they're doing. So, with 30 seconds, it's ironic. Coding actually started with a woman. And the number one profession for women in the 40s, 50s, 60s, where they could make a very good salary, was coding. And the actual percentage of women in coding was much higher than men. And a lot of women went to college to get math degrees, and then they became coders. And the one event that happened, which talks about bias, by the way, if you haven't read this book, Weapons of Math, M-A-T-H,
Thank you, Mr.
Destruction,
Kenwood.
read it and it'll help understand that.
Thank you. Ms. Vera?
I think it's a very, very important topic that, there's no career, I don't care what it is, or profession that should be gender-driven. It should be always for both genders, and I think we do need more women in STEM, absolutely. And oftentimes, it is about going straight to the parents and talking to them directly, because the parents may not understand the impact or the potential that that particular student may have in that field, or the possibilities of opening up that mind to that, going in that direction. I think we really should make a concerted effort of just looking who are the girls that could be good in this and give them a chance in STEM, because we do need to make a voice in the world, and our female world of STEM practitioners. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. DeLaRosa?
Okay, so just so you know, District 87 operates by a board committee structure. So we have in our SPA committee, these are the kinds of things that we discuss. And as board members, we can actually bring various issues to the committee. But we're about to go through that goal-setting process. Our goals they're not just academic goals. We also have a goal for participation. We actually gauge our participation at every school. We have a STEM club. We actually have several STEM clubs. And we have some exemplary science and math teachers. So I think it's just a matter of setting a goal and gauging our population on that goal. It's definitely doable. We see it, what we're seeing is that we follow our students after they leave Glenbard, and we have found that more young women are finishing college at a higher rate than our young men. So what happens in between? It's a good mystery.
Thank you. Next question. We'll start with Ms. Vera. How do you address the issue of equality amongst the schools, especially with regard to the aging facility and infrastructure of Glenbard West?
Equality in terms of population, curriculum, or facilities?
Facilities was what I
Okay.
understand it to be.
I think that in that regard, we have to look at each of the facilities and see what the gaps are. Do a gap analysis to begin with, and then looking at what exactly it would require to bring up all of the facilities at the level that they need to be in order to be functioning in ways that is not going to cause harm to anyone in the schools, and of course that's functioning in ways that we can continue to function without too much capital later on. So planning now, strategic planning now for what we need to do immediately, and planning for what are the capital investments that need to be made later in the future, because we know technology and infrastructure does age, and we have to put dollars always into updating that, and how do we get those dollars and where are those resources we're going to look at. But I think proactive planning is always the best way to go for capital investment.
Thank you. And Margaret, I'm sorry, Ms. DeLaRosa.
Okay, so I'm guessing that we're going to talk about the elephant in the room. Recently, we made a policy change at the board level. It was met with a little bit of board controversy. I don't know if you know this or not, but we actually passed a transgender policy, which is allowing students that are transgender to use the restroom and the locker room facilities of their gender identity. How do we support that? Well, we have adequate facilities in our buildings, but where we don't have, for example, in a locker room where we might not have partitions, we are putting in partitions so that students can feel that they are accepted for who they are and to use the facilities accordingly.
Thank you. Mr. Kenwood?
Yeah, with regards to facilities, the school district does a great job of assessing their facilities, understanding what the gaps are, putting a plan together, and then you really have to start thinking how you budget for it. I think one of the big misconceptions about facilities is that oftentimes you'll put things off to do other things, and then that just makes it worse. So being a village trustee, I understand the difference between maintaining the roads properly on a schedule that makes sense versus waiting and sacrificing for something else, which then ends up costing you a lot more. So it is very important to think through your plan, have a strategic plan, lay it out for 5 to 10 years, and make sure you budget for it appropriately so that you can deal with it.
All right, thank you very much. So we'll take closing statements at this point, and we will start with Mr. Kenwood.
Oh, okay. Again, thanks everyone for being here. I'm running because I think this is a great program, the 87. I want to be a part of it. As I said, I don't feel here that we're opponents. I feel that you've got great choices. I do personally believe my experience with a feeder district, my experience with the village, understanding police from a safety perspective, infrastructure, having worked with the school district before, will bring a different point of view. And I feel that boards, when you start to have a board where you have the majority of board members, could be up to 6 after this election, where everyone's been on 2, 3 terms, that you get a little stagnant and you're not really pushing the thinking. So part of my role in what I do is to problem solve, I listen to what people have to say, I meet with anyone, and then I make a decision, and I explain my decision and how I got there. So also not good at campaigning, but there is a sign-up sheet out there for signs.
Thank you. Mrs. Vera?
Although I'm new as a board member, I think I bring many years of experience with the district, interacting with all levels, beginning with students, teachers, parents, and community. And even today, I'm going to be going to a conference to represent the school district for the Association of Supervision and Curriculum Development, where I'm going to be talking about the good work that the Glenbard School District 87 has been doing for all of its students. I think I also bring a level of experience in collaboration. I know what teamwork is, and I think it's important, it's critical, that in anything we're going to accomplish as a school district, we need to have that collaboration and teamwork and have the critical thinking skills we're teaching our kids, right, in order to achieve what we need to achieve. And I would just be honored and proud to be part of the school board member of District 87.
Thank you. Ms. DeLaRosa?
Hi, thank you for coming out this morning and hearing all of us. I think you have confidence in what District 87 brings to you. I'm asking you for your vote to return me to the board so that we can do that planning for those next set of administrative leaders that we are going to need to take us to the next step. I think I have brought value to the board. We have a very collaborative, respectful board, and I think we've done great things together, and I hope with some new members that we will continue to do the good work for our students and our administration and community.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to thank the candidates for coming, and if everybody will show you the I'm reminded by the committee that early voting starts Monday at a new location, and that will be at the Glen Ellyn Library. So make note of that. Thank you all for coming.